Hello, my name is Stuart Mease, the Executive Director of Employee Relations at Wake Forest University. And I wanted to pause and give you a little bit update of what we're seeing in the market for college recruiting right now. We've been monitoring this over the last month, and we've done these videos each week trying to help not only students but also employers by communicating some of the trends in which we're seeing. So if you're a student, we very much are empathetic to the situation that you're going through right now. It's difficult. We've never seen anything like this. We don't want to feel like we're pressuring you in any way in terms of engaging with our office. But when you are ready, we're here for you, and we hope this video will help in some small way. So first, I want to talk about the activity we see last week from April 6th through the 10th. It was a shorter week because of the holiday. But first, I want to talk about what we're seeing in internships. And right now, about half of companies that we're interacting with have said that they're going to continue their internships. Almost all of them are moving to a virtual format. And an emerging trend that we're seeing is many of these companies are shortening the length of these internships because they're virtual. And so that's something to keep in mind if you're a student or if you're an employer on either side of the equation, that maybe a 10-week internship has now been shortened to 6 weeks because of the virtual status that we're in. And in some cases, they've been moved a little bit later in the summer as well. Now, since April the 1st, we've found that about the number of canceled internships has moved to about 40%. And what's happening is those that had initially, back early in March, that said they were waiting and seeing what happened, many of them, by pausing instead of committing to the internship initially, many of them were canceling the internship altogether. There's still about 10% or so that are still kind of on the fence, trying to figure out what they're going to do. But this is the trend that we're seeing. There's a site that I want to share with you. If I'll share my screen with you. And this, within this screen here is a crowdsourced site called, it's called GitHub. And in GitHub, it has a list of all of the employers through a crowdsourced site that said that they are going to be canceling the internship, as you can see from this list. It has notes over here to the right. It also has a full list of companies that are hiring for interns. And then if you hover over like Blend here, they have a link of actively hiring. So a student can go through there and potentially apply for an opening. If you're an employer looking at this, it may be a good opportunity for you to put your information on here. Again, it's totally crowdsourced. So it's a pretty good insight in terms of about 350 internships and internship programs and where they are in the particular process. So on the full-time side of the equation, what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, things have been pretty consistent. We have about 75% of firms, they are remaining committed to the full-time hires, but many are beginning to delay the start dates. We're seeing more and more evidence of that right now. They want to be committed to the talent. They think the talent's very good, but they may want to pause the start date a little bit. Additionally, there's about 10% or so that have rescinded full-time offers, and another 15% or so that, again, are kind of on the fence right now in terms of what they're going to be doing, or they're trying to clarify that decision at this particular time. Again, that's been pretty constant over the last couple of weeks. I have another site that I would like to share with you. It's a site that is called Candor.co. And we'll pull this site up here for you so you can see this one as well. This one I think has been really helpful. You can, again, crowdsource is about 6,000 records, and you can see those that are hiring, for instance. If you scroll down, you can see that there's 33,000 and some that are hiring right now. Again, it's crowdsourced, so you have to take that in consideration. But in certain places, they'll actually have where to apply. It's a job board. So last time I looked, there's about 1,000 of these where to apply on this particular site. If you look at this site, there's about 6,000 plus companies that are listed here. About 53% or so of those say that they're hiring. About 32% said there's a hiring freeze. About 5 have rescinded offers or laid off people. And there's about 12 to 13% that are having more than one category, which means it's kind of inconclusive. But again, I think this is similar to what we're seeing for wake employers of our students as well. This is a great site here moving forward. So that's what we're seeing on the internship and full-time side. The other thing that we look at is student engagement. And so many of you are aware of the Handshake platform that many schools are using and companies are using to post. And we actually go in and see what are the student logins and applications. And so the first couple of weeks of this epidemic, we saw that student activity took a sharp dive compared to the same point in time in previous years. But it was picking up. It was picking up very nicely from what we've seen from the same time last year. And a couple of reasons could be in the case: getting connected to their classes and also an extended spring break certainly helped with that. But the other thing that we see here is in our activity is that on weekends, students are more engaged in Handshake. They're applying to more, they're logging in more. And we believe that's because of the increased demands of moving from a face-to-face learning environment to an online virtual environment, and the increased workload that many students say that is occurring at this particular time. So maybe something you want to think about if you have jobs posting and so forth. If we're seeing at Wake Forest more students are engaged on the weekends. So maybe instead of having dates for Fridays for open positions, maybe you move that to a Monday. We're also trying to do some things ourselves to get some information out to students sooner as well. So on the other thing we track on Handshake is job postings. In the first 3 weeks or so, the job market for, or at least in terms of postings, was very resilient. We didn't see much of a drop from the 2 previous years at all, despite what we were seeing in the unemployment claims is nearly 16.5 million people over the last 3 cycles have reported being out of work. And on top of that, Burning Glass said that there's been a 25% decrease in the number of job postings since the epidemic that were catered more toward college student hiring during this time. However, this past week, from our Handshake data, at least the first part of that week, we saw quite a dive in the number of job postings, and we think that perhaps the market in terms of postings and so forth is catching up. Unfortunately, we're also seeing some disturbing things happening with people coming on websites and job boards trying to fraud people, not only the job seekers, but also employers. So we ask both sides to be very vigilant of interacting with employers. If you're a student, make sure it's legitimate. And then also from an employer's perspective, make sure your account or your online presence in some of these boards have not been compromised as well. So one question is, what types of industries do we see have openings? And I wanted to bring up an additional site here that I think could be helpful in telling you a little bit more about some of the opportunities that may be out there. And again, I'm going to go back to that same candor.co site. If you scroll to the bottom, they're tracking 6,300 companies here. And the green means this is the number of companies that say that they're still hiring. And this is the number of those companies by industry. So for instance, IT, there's about 500 or so companies that report that they're still hiring. The kind of yellowish tannish color here is the hiring freeze, and the reddish pink are those that are laying off. So this gives you a good overview of the opportunities by industry. Now, what's not included here, or maybe included in different ways, food and health retail. There's a lot of opportunities there. CVS, Walgreens, Aldi, Kroger, those types of organizations. Supply chain, Amazon, UPS, you name it. And then a lot of healthcare providers as well are showing an increase in the number of opportunities. Now, in more the traditional setting, you can see where a lot of the college students want to go into. You see kind of this green is good here, but also you see some of the tan as well. Ultimately, it's going to depend by company, by industry, by decisions that are being made at the top. On one note, you see barbers aren't doing well because of my hair and my ability to try and cut it myself. But barbers, we need you to come back as well. We need you, as you can see from my hair here today. It's been too long. So what do we do now? All right, this is a big question. What do you do now if you're a student? And there's a lot to process. There's a lot to really go through at this particular time. There's going to be increased participation. There's going to be increased competition because there's more people participating in the job search process right now from all these experienced hires that have lost their jobs, and now they're going to be looking for other opportunities. So now students, they're not only competing against other college students graduating in May, they're going to be competing against students or job seekers that have graduated a couple of years out. And so there's a couple of things that you can start doing. One, realize that plan B is where you may need to head. Doesn't mean you abandon plan A, but temporarily look at a plan B. And that includes applying to more things than you normally would have applied to. Now is not the time to be conservative with where you're going to post your resume and which opportunities you're going to consider. Additionally, it's ever important, it's always important, but probably even more important now that you spend time networking with individuals and really trying to make a connection with them. People are just thirsting for human connection, and they're doing it online in places like LinkedIn and so forth. It's a great opportunity for you to connect with people at this particular time. And then finally, the OPCD has created a website where you can go to and find more information in regards to what should I do if. So this is a site, what should I do if? And if one of these categories is you, student, right now, what should you do? You just click on one. So let's say you're looking for an internship. You click on this button here, and there's a list of things that you can do immediately right now with links. It's kind of a quick guide. Now, if you have some more detailed needs, here is some help in terms of connecting with a coach or getting more personalized one-on-one help. These are activities here for you, but because of the abundance of needs people are going to have during this environment, the number of individuals that are going to be seeking, we want to create something very simple and basic where you can go to really 24/7. There's also a chat function here if you want to go through that as well. So again, we're here for you when you're ready. We have resources, people working behind the scenes. They're very dedicated, talented people that are really committed to the student body as well as to our employers. We want to be of service to you. And when you're ready, let us help you. My email is meases@wfu.edu. Send me an email. anytime. I'll be glad to get back in touch with you and share any information that I have. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. Whenever there's new information that we think is relevant to share with our constituents, we want to be able to do that for you. So we're here for you during this time. And until next time, thanks and hang in there.